very
strong union.
And Scott Buren passed away?
What?
Yeah.
Who?
Scott Buren,
Young Scott Buren.
61 years old.
Oh my, well,
really.
oh my God.
When?
I think on Friday.
Oh my God.
That was in the paper for that.
He worked for us all the time, all the time. Poor Scott.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You need to watch your push.
Just took some.
Hey, how you doing back there, sir?
I'm living.
Here, take this and pass. No, okay.
5:13, Mr. Chairman.
You stole my pen.
Put that back here.
You stole my pen. Whose pen?
The counties? Is possession is 9/10 of the law, so it must be yours.
Well, a fine good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome to the Mahoney County Board of Elections. Today is election eve, November 6, 2017. It's about 5:15. This meeting is called to order. The director, please call the roll.
Mr. Monroe,
Here.
Mr. Winbush,
Here.
Mr. Wasco,
Here.
Mr. Beatrice.
Present.
Item number 2, the consideration of the payment of office expenses and bills for the period October 1 through October 31, 2017.
I move that we pay the bills for the office expenses for the period of October 1st to October 31st, 2017. Thank you.
Second.
Discussion? Director, call the roll.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco.
Yes.
Mr. Beatrice.
Yes.
Under Chairman's report, I've got 3 items. First of all, I'd like to recognize member Dave Beatrice. Dave?
Yes.
Dave, I know that the surgery cannot be an easy thing to go through.
No.
There's been a lot of talk about what you've been going through. In fact, I've heard some of the talk on WKBN,
Yeah.
some talk about Iron Man, and
I'm not Iron Man.
but I
That was
know.
day before surgery.
Listen, I know it can't be an easy thing to do,
No.
and I want you to know that our thoughts and our prayers are with
Well, thank you very much,
and
Chair.
for your full recovery. I know it's a tough thing to go through. Secondly, I'd like to recognize the Mahoney County Prosecutor's Office for the work they did in representing the board in the recent court case that went down to the Ohio Supreme Court. Particularly the lead attorney, Sharon Hackett, and Assistant Prosecutor Lynette Stratford, and Gina Zarotuk. I thought it was interesting that the last time we had a case go down to the Supreme Court, we were forced to hire outside counsel. Cost a lot of money, and we lost. This time we were represented by the prosecutor, and there was a good outcome.
It was a very good outcome.
And
Yes.
they did a good job, and I very much appreciate what they did. The third item I just wanted to discuss were these affidavits that were filed by these 2 women alleging certain campaign finance irregularities in the campaign of candidate Dom Leon. And I want to say, first of all, it was really not my intention to make this a big deal, but I do confess I was disappointed to learn that we didn't take a closer look at the allegations made by the 2 women. These were allegations that concern a city prosecutor who may become a judge-elect tomorrow. My question was a simple one. Why weren't these women interviewed to determine the veracity of their claims? And I was disappointed for 3 reasons. First of all, the fact that we had these sworn statements, these sworn affidavits from these women about what they believed to be improper conduct by the Leon campaign. Second, the allegations were made not just by some former girlfriends who may have had a falling out with Mr. Leon, but rather these were women who were campaign officials. They were they served as campaign treasurers for the Leon campaign. They were part of the inner circle, I suppose. And then I'm also disappointed because of our history, the Mahoning County history. And I'm reminded about Judge Fred Bailey, Judge Andy Polovischak, Judge Marty Emmerich, Judge Pat Kerrigan, Sheriff Phil Chance, Maureen Cronin, Prosecutor Jim Filomena, and Judge Mark Belinkie, just to name a few. I mean, the point is the criminal justice system in Mahoning County has not been treated kindly over the years. And because of that history, I think we have an obligation to be thorough in our review, especially when it affects a current city prosecutor and judicial candidate. I expressed my concerns in an email to Assistant Prosecutor Lynn Nett Stratford, copies of which I have available here if anybody would like to see them. I have great respect for Lynette and the men and women who serve in the prosecutor's office, and I appreciate the response I received back. Assistant Prosecutor Stratford advised me that if the board feels the sheriff should more fully investigate the matter, the board is certainly free to refer it to the sheriff. I do feel that the matter should be more thoroughly reviewed, and I recognize Ms. Winbush for a motion to be followed by discussion.
I move that we refer this issue to the Sheriff's Department for further investigation so that we will have done our due diligence here at the Board of Elections, ensuring that we have good people that are on the ballot and are serving the Mahoning County.
Discussion.
Well, there's not been a second to it.
I will second the motion.
May I say something, Mr.?
Certainly. Well, let the board members go
Okay,
first
all right,
if they.
that's fine.
Well, let me tell you what I'm upset about, Mr. Chairman. I'm upset that that is even in our agenda. One thing I was told by Secretary Houston and by you, Mr. Chairman, was to keep politics out of the Board of Elections. These affidavits and Judge DeGennaro campaign is the sleaziest, dirtiest, most disgusting campaign, even by Mahoning County standards. And for you, Chairman, to be picking up the banner of that sleazy, disgusting, vile campaign, and to bring it before this board and to politicize it, is wrong. Those affidavits are lies. Those women should be prosecuted for lying on affidavits. There was no truth to any of the allegations in those. I spoke to the lawyer for the one individual that supposedly gave Don Leon cash, because if a Democratic officeholder is taking cash, I want to know about it. And the lawyer told me it was complete and utter bullshit.
Mr. Chairman.
And so I don't think that this board should be on the eve of an election. This is what other thing that grates me, Mr. Chairman. On the eve of an election, you're trying to use this board to give a Republican candidate an advantage going into tomorrow. That's wrong. That's just plain wrong. And if I find out that the Republican Party or you, Mr. Chairman, had any doing in the filing of those affidavits, I'm going to be the one asking for your resignation. Because you have politicized this issue, and we're not supposed to be partisans up here.
Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Winbush.
Attorney Beatrice, I understand that we are not political here. And it's not about the right and the wrong, it's about the process in which it was done. Our issue is there should have been some type of investigation and or some type of questioning of the persons who filed the affidavits. Not saying that the person did it or did not do it, but it is to make sure that if someone comes and files a grievance against a candidate and gets to the Board of Elections and we refer it over to the Sheriff's Department, that someone follows up on it. That's
Well, I
the
did.
issue.
I did.
But that's you as a...
No, I followed up on it.
As a
'cause
county chair, but not as a Board of Elections official.
doesn't matter. You,
Yes, it does
you
matter.
and the chairman are trying to politicize this issue,
I
and
live
you
in the
are
city.
engaging in partisan politics.
I live in the city.
You are engaging in partisan politics when we're not supposed to be engaging in partisan politics as a Board of Election. And
Are you trying to tell me-
I said
One at a
exactly what
time,
I'm telling
one
you,
at a
Tracy.
time. One at
And
a
I'm
time.
very upset
One
that
at
you
a
are
time.
bringing this up.
Are you telling me you would
Well,
not bring this
Tracy,
up against
whoa,
me if it
whoa,
had
whoa.
been a Republican doing the same thing?
Not on the eve
This
of
is
an
not-
election,
this is
Tracy, I would
about
not. Not on the eve of an
Republican
election, I
Tracy,
would not.
Tracy,
And
let-
when we did, I took whatever the board told us was the answer at face value. When George Levindis had a problem with his campaign report, we relied on our board or our staff. Our staff reported to us, and I was satisfied with it. The staff in this case and the prosecution have both said there's a nothing burger here and there's nothing to see. And now we're going to re-bring it up again, hoping that the press out here grabs the story of it and gives an advantage to a candidate, which is wrong, whether it be a Democratic advantage or a Republican advantage. Us as a board, the public must have complete confidence in us that we are neither a Democrat nor a Republican when we're on this board. And I find that your timing of this, the fact that it's on our agenda, the fact that somehow these got mysteriously filed and all of a sudden you picked up the filing, and now you want to make an issue of it the eve of an election is wrong. It smells. And I'm going to not vote that there be anything else. Our staff has already investigated, our staff has looked at it, and there's nothing here.
Joyce, did you call these women and talk to them?
Absolutely not.
Did anyone call these women and talk to them?
Absolutely not. They filed affidavits. I sent them to the prosecutor, which is my duty to send them to the prosecutor. The prosecutor notified me that they didn't really think that the allegations would hold up. Then Mr. Monroe contacted the prosecutor again. Lynette sent me an email. This is what she said to me. As you recall, Mark Monroe asked under whether the Board of Elections can hold a hearing to investigate the allegations contained in the two affidavits submitted to the board regarding alleged illegal contributions to Don Leon, candidate for Struthers Municipal Court. We contacted the Elections Commission and confirmed the board does have the authority to hold a hearing. Now, as my job, I do go over the campaign finance report. There is nothing wrong with Mr. Leon's campaign finance, and Mr. DeGenova has a few small things that can be amended. There's nothing, huge in any of them. My duty is campaign finance. My duty is not whether they smoke marijuana or not. So I did my duty.
But my question is, if, as I submit something in there, we submit it from the campaign. My question is, when we go through them, if someone makes an allegation that something is wrong with them, do we not investigate that something that is wrong with them?
We audit all the finance reports, which is what we did.
But if I don't put it on there, then you can't audit it.
Well, how would I know?
So if
How would
someone,
I know
so
if
if somebody
somebody
makes,
doesn't put anything
but if somebody
in
makes an allegation who was the treasurer of this person's campaign and says, this is what happened,
Tracy,
should we
these
not call
ladies-
them?
These women went to the sheriff's department first. The sheriff's department sent them to me. I sent them to the prosecutor, which is my duty, to send it to the prosecutor. I did my due diligence. It is not my responsibility to question these women.
I might also note that Don Leon filed an affidavit
Yes,
saying
two or
that
three.
these are lies. Okay?
The question is just who did they talk to?
Well,
We
I
should've-
can
don't
tell
you
you
think we
who
should've
I
followed up?
talked to.
Should we
I
not-
called the lawyer for the gentleman
Did
that,
you call us? Because you didn't send me an email saying you called the lawyer and this is
no,
what
because
happened.
I wanted to know.
But you didn't tell me and I'm a board
I don't have
member.
to tell you that
Why
I'm
not?
calling, because I'm the chairman of the party. And if one of my candidates is taking cash, I want to know about it. And so I called his lawyer, and his lawyer told me it's a complete lie.
But I'm your colleague on the Board of
Tracy,
Elections.
Tracy, now listen, let's have a little,
Decorum.
one at a time.
Decorum.
One at a time, okay? Mr.
Chairman,
Ross, you
yeah.
haven't spoken yet.
Yep. I'm not in favor of the motion because our investigative arm is the prosecutor's office. I've referred many things to them. They've already looked at this and they've said that this is no evidence here to move forward. So I'm not voting for that based on, we've already been through that process. It wasn't done through us. Well, I guess it wasn't done through us formally, but Joyce sent it up and they did what they were supposed to do.
Okay. Well, I don't appreciate the fact that there's a suggestion that this is a partisan effort on my part. That is not the case. I don't control the timing of these meetings. This meeting is set, this is our regular monthly pre-election meeting. This board doesn't meet that often, and sometimes things come up when they come up. This issue was ripe because, just because of the facts of the way the calendar fell. As I said before, it was not my intention to make a big deal about this. I was reluctant to bring it up even because it could be perceived as partisan. And I'm troubled by that. But I'm also troubled by the fact that we have a history in this county of some things that are not so admirable. And I just personally feel that when somebody comes to us with an accusation, I think we have an obligation to bend over backwards to be sure that that is resolved. And I think it would actually help Mr. Leone. He may win this election tomorrow. I think he'd much rather go forward and serve in his office knowing that he's been fully cleared of these allegations. If these women are lying, we should find out about it. Get it out in the public. That could be part of the investigation. Anybody who serves in public office, especially in the judiciary, has to serve without a cloud hanging over them. That is what motivated me to bring this forward. Lynette, the Assistant Prosecutor Stratford, made it clear to me that if the board was not satisfied, it was certainly our prerogative to refer to the sheriff so that an independent third party can take a look at these claims and determine the veracity of these claims. And I felt personally that that would be the appropriate thing to do, and that's why I brought it to the board.
Mr. Chairman, why wouldn't the prosecutor's office be considered a third-party independent?
Well, they were, but as I indicated to my note to Lynette, I was not satisfied for a variety of reasons, all of which I've already stated, and which I also spelled out in the email that I provided to the prosecutor. I just felt strongly that it was something that needed to be done, and it was not done for partisan reasons. It was done because I've been involved in politics for 40 years, and I've seen what a stink it can have sometimes. And if I've got an opportunity just to raise a question, to take a closer look at something, I'm glad to do that, and I think that's our responsibility.
And I want to say that I have all the faith of the Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office, of honest people that run the office, the prosecutor himself, and every time that we've referred something to them, they came back to us and they gave us, I believe, every single time the correct answer in the correct direction. And so I'm sticking with that.
I understand.
I do have a
But,
question, but what
What I
is the
don't have
procedure?
confidence in is the sleazy campaign that Damian DeGenova has run in this election cycle, and the fact that we have taken up that mantle and are giving credence to clearly when he is personally responsible for these affidavits getting filed. So this is.
Mr.
this
Chairman,
beyond-
that is not true, Mr.
This is,
Chairman.
well, he controls
That is not
what
true.
happens on behalf of his campaign. This is sleazy campaigning.
You have
It's
no evidence
sleazy
that that was the
campaign
case, and I
tactics.
can tell you that that was not the case.
Let me ask this, procedurally, since I'm the newest person on the board, do we not follow up with anything? Because if I make an accusation, do you just let it, if I go and say I didn't do it, you just let it sleep? Or do we have a procedure of how we follow up on things on this order?
I think as long as you investigate Title 35, as a board, we're fine. I don't know if you can investigate the other allegations made. That was clearly presented to me
Joyce,
by
we
Lynette
did.
also.
We referred it to the prosecutor's
Right.
office.
And I think you make a good point, Joyce. Many of the allegations related to things that were not part of Title 35. They were outside of our purview. They talked about intimidation and threats being made and drug abuse and so on and so forth. Those are things that we have nothing to do with. That was another reason why I thought it was appropriate to send it down to the sheriff, because the allegations were not strictly related to campaign finance.
I call for the vote.
Is there any other discussion? Director, call the roll.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Ms. Winbush,
Yes.
Mr. Wasco,
No.
Mr. Beatrice,
No.
Well, you know the drill.
3 times?
Well, no, not that drill.
Which drill do you want?
No. Both sides are required to prepare a letter or a
To
memorandum
the Secretary of State.
to the Secretary of State explaining their position, and that needs to be sent to Columbus along with the meeting minutes.
I have already spoken to the lawyer in Columbus about these applications.
But David, please, I want to assure you that this was not a partisan effort on my part. I was concerned it might have that appearance.
It does have that appearance. Mr.
I
Chairman.
understand that. This was, I mean, I've been around the valley for a long time, and I've seen what has happened in the past. And if there's even a hint of smoke, I think we should take a look at it.
Well,
all.
that's the problem, is that we shouldn't taint someone with the past sins of other corrupt individuals. I could tell this board, and I'll tell the public, I don't care next year whether I'm the chairman or not. But what I do care about is that if I find candidates are taking cash, I don't have to worry about this board exposing them. I'll go out in the middle of Market Street and expose them. And that's not the case here.
Very good. Okay, the motion results in a tie vote. We'll proceed accordingly. Moving on to the business at hand.
Mr. Chairman, can you put a date on that because I have an election tomorrow?
We could do it after the election, can't
A
we?
date?
A date on when you would like me to submit your letters, or when
Well,
you're going to submit your letters to
Well,
me?
when they're ready. I mean, it's going to a week or two.
Okay.
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, I don't want to do it tomorrow.
This is not a,
No,
this is not for
no,
tomorrow.
it's.
All right, okay.
I mean, when everything's ready, send it down to Columbus.
Okay. All right.
It's not.
But we do want to follow up on it, even after the election, no matter who wins.
Okay, we will.
By the way, I do hear there's an election tomorrow.
There is an election tomorrow, and all of the...
Are we ready?
We are very ready. Tom has been out on the road today setting up precincts. We have location supervisors and provisional supervisors in all the major locations. Our presiding judges have all been trained. We're ready to go, and I think it's going to be a good election. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, so tomorrow should be easy.
Let me commend both Tom McCabe and Joyce Kilpesta, and the entire staff of the Mahoning County Board of Elections. I am always amazed. Every election, it's like I discover something new. But if the public only knew how much hard work goes into running an election, and the public should feel very proud of our staff here, of our director and our assistant director, for the excellent work they do in running an election. And I just wanted to publicly commend the two of you.
I would echo those sentiments. I've been doing this longer than anybody else on this board as a board member. Not longer than Joyce, please.
Yeah, but longer.
I think you were here before I was here.
I think a little bit.
Really?
And we really do have a quality staff. They do great work, and they deal with adversity sometimes. And it is not always easy. The cameras are always on, looking over your shoulder. And Joyce, you and Tom, I think, provide excellent leadership for this board. And
We are a great team.
And
We really are, and I thank the board very much.
I appreciate it. Now on to the director's report. Or was that
That is my
it?
report.
That is your report.
I have nothing else to say.
Is there any unfinished business to consider? Any new business?
I just have a question. What time are we meeting here tomorrow, and how long do you think?
Well,
Joyce?
probably, you really, if we have a resolution board, and I can let you know during the day whether we need to have one, but I would say maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Till
because-
when?
Well,
Well, I mean,
until we get everything counted, but you, as long as I have 3 board members present, I'm fine. If you, I know you're ill, and if you.
Well, I'm just not released to go back to work,
Yeah.
and by the evening, I do run out of energy.
Yeah.
Right,
And the
Dave,
pills do
this,
make me a little crazy.
this board can't function with 3 members, Dave, and
Okay.
if you need a little forbearance tomorrow.
Well, I'll come, I'll see how I
Right.
feel.
Let's see.
So plan on being here at 6:30 then?
6:30 or 7.
That'd be good.
Okay,
Yeah.
in case, and the resolution board can take place.
Yeah, I'll let you know during the day how many we have. Really, the absentees have run through very well. And those would be the only ones that
So we have a
would
lot
to
of
resolve.
write-ins though,
Yeah, we
that
have,
gums up the work, right?
yeah, no, we're going to do a new system where we're gonna count the write-ins from the scanner. I'm gonna have one of the IT guys from downtown do that, so write-in should go pretty quickly.
Don't we
probably
have to,
won't
don't we have to
any-
physically review the write-in to make sure they're writing in the right name?
During the conduct of the certified election,
During-
but
right,
not
during-
the,
As part
not
of,
the,
as part of the official.
yeah, the official.
Okay.
The canvas. This board is going to, we will be in recess, and this board will adjourn tomorrow night after the close of polls, after the collection, tabulation, and release of the unofficial 2017 complete but unofficial returns tomorrow evening. Is there any public comment before we adjourn? This board stands in recess.